for like the Golden Tumbleweed should be like a poetry award. And we can try and figure that out. So Mark and I, when we were discussing this, we were thinking about sort of stuff that we have in common, and I suppose we go and see quite a lot of art and always find it quite funny about all the words that are attached to it and the little blurbs next to each piece of work, and how it sort of invests the art with qualities that it may or may not have. And we kind of thought it would be quite good to do something in the kind of tone of that stuff. So we flipped a coin, and I was basically tasked with writing the first one. And it was the idea was that it was kind of it's a blurb about nothing. And then the next piece was like a blurb about the previous blurb, and then it sort of goes back and forth like that. And but it kind of went in its own sort of idiosyncratic way. But yeah, so it doesn't have a title. I'm going to stop talking and read a poem. This is typical of the early work, the overwhelming blank space of a canvas, life. Here we are discussing the important question: how do we fill the jug, and where do we place it in our favourite room? Typical subjects: flowers, hands of an unknown woman, naked bodies. As in life, the subjects become warped, grow warm with filth, as if they know the scrutiny which will follow their gesture. Something has started, presented here as what survived.
And still survives. Everything is a remnant of a jerk, is it not? If by jerk I mean movement, if by movement I mean gesture, if by gesture, stomp, the furious stomp of the baby quark all the way up to elephant, and then the elephantine beyond. That's beyond with a capital C for catastrophe.
Isn't it time we put the baby to sleep and pray? Our discipline has no circadian rhythm. And what is the elephant thinking as it moseys to the nut factory? Here is a tree, let's agree on that. But when a tree or an elephant is shown on fire, it is smouldering forever. Replication is fine, but which of the 5 extinguishers is the real one? We're not in the business of authenticity. Fakery is and always has been impressive. Lastly, an eagle in the mind is plummeting, saying goodbye in its own way, in the film which was kindly donated.
I'm so glad you said Moses, so glad you said extinguishers, so glad you said donated, so pleased you said awful. Well, you didn't say awful, but I'd have been so pleased if you had. The tree is so much more than a stick, isn't it? It's a stick plus. It's a bunch of sticks and a trunk, as Uncle Elephant would have said, bless him. Pardon me, but I seem to have mislaid my tone. Oh, there it is, under the whatnot. Surely it's in the space between cluelessness and clueness that something visceral and true discharges itself, performs itself, like being poked in the dingbat by a whippersnapper, or having your toe trodden on by a mouse.
The important thing is to carry on, to lift the dead mouse weight. Think about their knotted bedsheet innards, the poor rascals. Up until now I knew where we were going. I had planted trees along the path. We'd get there a lot quicker if we stopped thinking of future air supply, they'd say. But where would the squirrels live? How would their simple lives of nut, twig, home, opposite sex squirrel play out? It's not that they didn't have an answer, more that they left this type of thinking to me. Being a youthful charge, I filled my head with blood where our ideas flow, which tells me to hang a picture like this, or punch him in the balls like this.
It seems to me that the piece exceeds its boundary, that it ripples out beyond the frame, rippling like a ripple ripples. Are squirrels actually disarming? They certainly seem so, gathering their nuts and burying them, nibbling them, holding them in tiny imitation hands. But do they despise us and our scrubbed-up children? Do they hate how our imperial imaginations own them and then bend them to our cutesy fancies?
I don't recognise these hands. Mine are outside, belonging to a man breathing on my window. What do we project onto him and the emotionless faces of tree rodents? Here are my home movies playing out on his face, my father's war slideshow. His friends flew up out of their barrack seats. Now that's disarming. We go through life, the exhibition, thinking about others' thoughts. Where does it leave us? The floorboards grown, were once trees themselves and mottled with nuts, directing us towards an exit where you can buy framed reproductions, none of which were your favourites.
And what are we left with? What is the residue? Is that even a residue? A watery grit that collects like silt in our veins? And what am I on about? And what am I on? And what am I? And what am? And what? Is that all we're left with when we step back out into the cold? Thank you.